Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second ever SC2GG.com podcast. And we are working on, like I said in the first podcast, we're still working out the kinks, trying to get some more features in these things, trying to line up some interviews, that kind of thing. But, just for the sake of it, just to keep things rolling, we're going to do another sort of thing like we did last time, where Diggity and I are just going to kind of give you a rundown on the state of StarCraft right now, and people did seem to like that last time. We got some good reviews, so figured we'd go with it again. And if you do, as I mentioned at the end of the last one, if you do have feedback on any of this stuff, go ahead and check out the forums and let us know what you think. Let us know if there's anything else that you want to hear included, anything like that. All right, so first we're going to start off with the state of Proleague. And what do you think? Should we start off with kind of the general standings, or we should look at individual matches first?
Let's look at the standings overall because I think it's fairly significant just because the way things have been shifting around lately.
Okay, sounds good. So, uh, basically, yeah, there has been a lot of shifting. There's been a lot of shifting, and the reason for that is I'm looking at the standings right now. Basically, and I'm not sure if these are 100% up to date, and they're probably not 100% up to date by the time you're listening to it, but there are one, two, three, four, essentially five teams nearly tied for first place. There is one team that's in first place with one extra win, and I'm not going to say what team that is because, um, well, basically it's either LACAF or SKT1 because whichever team won that match is going to be in first place. So I don't want to spoil that for you guys, especially since uh, JWD did such an excellent hype video on that. He did a really cool, almost it was basically a highlights video of SKT1's season so far, and so you should check that out on the VileTac account. Which and then yeah, so the winner of that match though is in first place, but everyone else is basically right behind them. It's a very close season this season, and then behind them, uh, basically we got T1 and Laycaf Oz. They're one of them is first, and then KTF, Con, and here's a surprise: Seoul, STX Seoul, are all three of those are also very close. They're right behind, and then We Made Fox and OG and Sparkies are each only one win behind them. So it's really close. Basically, everyone's taking the same free wins off of CJ and Eastro and Ace, and that's actually a little bit of a surprise considering CJ almost won the Pro League last season, so it's extremely close. Who do you think?
Just
Who
think
are you most surprised by in that set? Do you think?
across the board, CJ, it's everyone's slumping it seems. Every single player is slumping on that team. It's ridiculous. On the opposite end, I'm really surprised that we made Foxes as high as they are. Generally, when you end up with just the 3-0 punch that they've been delivering week after week, when you have Mind, when you have Nada, when you have Pure who's been absolutely fantastic, coming out of nowhere, he was undefeated. I think he recently took a loss. I won't say to who, obviously, for spoiler reasons. But yeah, he's just been playing fantastic. It's a 1-2-3 punch and then the 2v2, catching some here or there. I wonder how long it's going to be before each team essentially just starts creating specific Nada and specific mind killers like people used to do for Savior back in the day when he was so dominant. So
It's
I'm really
funny.
surprised that they're. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's funny you put it that way because KTF is basically the same thing. KTF, they should call it Team Flash, honestly, because
Yeah.
who else do they really have? But the other thing, I didn't even realize this. Lucifer is apparently 5-0 in Pro League this season. I'm like, what? Lucifer? Like, because up until like 5 minutes ago when I read that, he was kind of one of the mass of um, good but not excellent players that there was around and that got into the lower levels of
I
Star Leagues but never made it anywhere.
I remember seeing Lucifer in MSL Season 3, which is the first time we just started commentating, and that he got cheesed twice in a row by Stork and someone else, maybe Nara. Nara and Stork back to back. And I remember thinking, or maybe that was Orion, but whatever in that set, I remember thinking that he had potential just because he didn't panic and he looked pretty good and he looked solid all the way through during that season. Maybe it wasn't MSL, maybe I'm completely misremembering that. Maybe that's Orion, I'm not sure. But I remember seeing Lucifer early on and thinking that he had potential. It looks like much like Orion. Maybe that's why I'm mixing the two. But yeah, it looks like he's starting to play really solid and catch his stride and actually getting some playing time now.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. But I mean, KTF, that's all they have going for them is Flash, and then if Lucifer's in, apparently he wins, and then hopefully either Lucifer or their 2v2 wins or something like that, and they can bring it to an ace match so Flash could win again because Flash just doesn't lose. It's just ridiculous.
Does not lose.
He actually did lose recently, but that was a fluke. And after the game, you saw him talking with Nalra, and like Flash is just like, I don't know what happened, and Nalra's like, yeah, we totally, that wasn't. Don't worry about it, man. And Flash is like, yeah, I'm not worried about it at all. Um, I can translate and read lips of Korean. That's how I know. No, that's not it at all. But that's the impression I
Awesome.
got from their facial expressions. But Flash is
And
carrying his team to second place, just almost by himself, and that is kind of amazing.
yeah. And I realized who it was. It was actually Memory and Light who he ended up losing to in season three. But in both those games, I thought he put up a really good fight. So yeah, it's nice to see him basically almost a year later. Well, no, not even close. I take that back. About 6 months later, I should say, playing really well. So we'll see how he plays down the line. But right now, yeah, Flash is the man to beat. Flash has just been destroying everyone left and right. Quick spoiler: the Group H Flash looked incredible. I'm not gonna. If you go to Rainman's uh, thread on the SC2GG forums, he has the kind of the review of the week and the top plays and the top videos that you should watch. I highly suggest out of that thread, if he hasn't already posted it, Flash versus Yellow in Group H of the MSL. That match
Hell
was
yeah,
insane.
that was ridiculous. That was absolutely
I
ridiculous.
could to spoil it, Flash won, but unbelievable.
Of
I
course
could
he
not
did.
believe. Seriously, I was commentating that game, and I just could barely talk by the end of it. I was just completely flabbergasted. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I felt this. I mean, I didn't commentate it, but I felt the same way basically. Um, yeah, I mean, Flash versus Jangbi, probably the biggest comeback of the entire year so far. Flash coming back, even though he was kind of behind and kind
You
of
mean
almost got
Flash Yellow?
owned. No, no, I'm talking about Flash Jangbi
You
first.
said Jang B.
I
Okay.
that's what I meant to say, Jangbi. Yeah, but that's my point. Is that Flash Jangbi probably the best comeback of the year until Flash Yellow was was is
Seriously.
in the running as well. That was just silly.
He had a science vessel out before he had an entire group of medic marines.
By the way, getting back to Pro League for the moment because we're gonna get back to those Star Leagues later. Um, Ace, of course, they're in last place. It's kind of where they are. I really had high hopes for them this season. I thought they were going to come out, but they've got this. I mean, they've got Oversky, Dazang, and Boxer basically, and with those three, they can take matches, and they've been winning, but not enough. It's painful to watch sometimes, but they are winning games. It's not like they're
Yeah.
getting 0-3'd every time. Also, it's like they're getting 2-3'd or 1-3'd. So they're winning some games here and there, but they're not putting the games together into matches. And actually, I think it's mostly because Boxer isn't winning his games. He's just been a little bit off
Yeah.
recently. But
He's looked
they actually
very
have a
pissed off.
they have
I've been saying it the entire time. He's storing rage. Storing rage for his comeback.
they have an easy matchup against Eastro, who they're tied with Eastro. So and Eastro is not even sending in any of their good players uh, in this matchup. So Dazang is probably going to easily beat Tester, and the Slayer Boxer is probably going to beat Hiva. So they could take this match and not be in last place for the first time ever, which that would be kind of cool. And then imagine if they won a couple more games and passed up CJ Entis, the former playoff finalist there. Um,
I remember, I think last week I said SKT was the graveyard of former greats, and I completely take back that statement at the moment. CJ
yeah,
right
man.
now,
NBC
GG
Hero
play,
sitting
Savior,
NBC Hero sitting in eighth
Iris.
place right now. They're saying, "Damn it! Why did we trade Bisu? Why did we get rid of Jelizerg? We're idiots! God."
Although Bisu's got that wrist thing going on with the injuries and whatnot.
Yeah, and actually, Jelizerg just transferred to STX Seoul, by the way, which that was kind of
Did he
random.
really?
Yeah, he transferred to T1 for a season, and now he's on STX, which I was like, what?
Huh.
Like I heard about it, and then I like didn't believe it so much that I forgot it. Like I pushed it out of my mind, and then like when I commentated his game in the OSL, I was like, wait, he's wearing an STX shirt. What the heck's going on here? But yeah, Hero
He's
not doing
actually
so
looking
good.
pretty good in the OSL.
CJ not doing so good, and uh, OGN doing well, but not as good as other teams. So like all the finalists from last season, except for Lakef, aren't doing as spectacularly this season. So
I'm actually
things are
surprised
completely changed
OGN's even
around.
in there. I
Gotta
mean,
keep it
they've
under
got their
11
2v2
piece.
team, but aside from that, their best player is essentially yellow, and I worry about his confidence now
Well,
after
and
Group
luxury.
H of the MSL. But did they have luxury? I thought luxury was on someplace else.
Luxury and
Let me
Yellow are on the
check real
same
fast.
team. They're both on OGN.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I take that back. The one I forgot the Twins are on the same team.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, Pro
My
League getting
bad.
mixed up here, and yeah, T1 is definitely a sleeper. Um, and I'm not saying whether they beat Lake Half or not, but before Lake Half versus T1, they've been just coming kind of out of nowhere, and a lot of their players, like Midas or Midas, however you want to call it, he, I mean, obviously, kind of a former great, well, not like great, but former very good player, fell off the map, and then this season he's come back with a vengeance, and he's been getting a lot of clutch games for T1, and I think that's basically been the difference, along with Bisu winning some games for him now. So don't get me started on their
Anyway,
mascot
let's.
though.
Yeah, that thing's freaky.
A couple more real quick
Maybe we
news
can post
items
a.
related to T1. Uvi just got married. Daisy just posted some wedding
Yeah,
photos, and also Team
congratulations to him.
Ace. Yeah, congrats to him. Team Ace is basically they the Air Force has said that they're not going to recruit pro gamers anymore. So Team Ace probably not going to be around in '09 is what I'm thinking. So just something to think about. It's
Cry.
disappointing, but we'll see. Anyway, so we're moving on. Any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, let's move on. Let's just talk about a couple of the games that are happening here.
Okay.
So first match, Huashin Jiangbi. Whew.
Yeah, that should be pretty
Okay.
awesome. I placed
Jiangbi's
both of
still looking
them.
pretty good.
Yeah, JB's looking good. I placed both of them as being like at the moment just below top tier. So they're not Flash and they're not Jadong, but they're better than everyone else that aren't Flash or Jadong, basically. Especially since Washin, I don't usually give him much credence, but he's been playing really well lately. And same with Jamie, actually. Basically those two, neither of those two really impressed me very much until the last month or two. They've been kind of owning everybody, and now they're playing in the Pro League. Uh, actually, in about half an hour from this being recorded, they're playing. Uh, and so
We might
that
as
should
well
be an
watch it.
exciting match.
Anyhow, and then Jadong Ruby, that should be a fun match.
Yeah, that's gonna be crazy. That's gonna be crazy. Ruby, for those of you who don't know, Ruby actually beat Jadong in the Pro League a month or two ago, and Ruby, he's pretty new to the scene, so no one expected him to beat Jadong at all. Jadong's been in a little bit of a slump, and Ruby might have even been said to be kind of part of the start of it because Jadong was still at the top of his game when Ruby beat him, and he basically just went all mutalisks, and Ruby just held out and held out and held out. It was freaking epic. So now Jadong's gonna have a chance here to get back at Ruby, show that he can beat the whippersnapper, but Jadong hasn't been playing that well lately, so I don't know if he's actually gonna win it.
Also, Ruby's kind of a dedicated Zerg killer. I mean, that's what he's there for, is to kill Zerg players across the map. I mean, that's where you got to start, is beating Savior, aside from getting almost crushed by him prior to that. Well, completely crushed by him prior to that, but whatever.
Yeah. So then we also
Anyway,
have
then
Best versus
go
Flash
ahead.
coming up, and
Oof.
I am pretty much I've been thinking that's just going to be a another case of ownage by Flash, but other people are kind of thinking differently.
Eh, I Best has been he's shown some good stuff. I just don't know if he. Let me put it this way: I still feel like JB right now is better than Best, and I know I'll get a lot of arguments on that. I still think JB's just slightly better than Best for various reasons, and yeah, but I mean JB put up a really good fight against Flash. I guess this will prove. I guess this will be the definitive decider how Best lines up against JB against kind of the bar that Flash is, which is kind of
Well,
ridiculous when you think about it. That
not to
Go
mention
ahead.
JB and Best are actually playing each other in the OSL in a day or two, so that'll be a good determining
Yeah,
factor
so
too.
yeah, it'll be a nice kind of lineup preview sort of thing. But yeah, Flash just hardcore, and that's a big match too because it's SKT versus KTF. I mean, it's still fighting over the top spot right there.
Good point. Good point. Yeah,
Anyway,
it'll
there's
probably
also
get that far.
yeah. Then we're gonna see Anytime versus Light. That should be a fun one in Oz versus Hero. I think
Yeah,
that'll
that's
be a
gonna
fun
be
match.
cool.
I don't really have anything else to say about that aside from that should be fun. Both players not
Yeah,
playing as well as they do usually, but still.
there are a lot of really fun-looking matches this week. When went to do the commentary of the week listings, I was like, wow, there are a ton of matches here that are going to be cool. I even left off a couple that like Quanro versus Zero. I think that's going to be a pretty sweet match. Just because both those players, Zero, I actually kind of like him. I kind of counted him out last season, but he's shown some glimpses of potential lately. So I think that's going to be a cool match. That's one of the ones I didn't include on there. Just a lot of good matches this week. Proleague
Yeah.
is on fire right now.
Otherwise, Free versus Iris and Pure versus GoGo. And Pure versus GoGo, I want to note that in We Made versus OGN, they're not fielding Mind or Nada. Crazy.
they took the they let their aces take the day off for that one, I guess. Or
Maybe
maybe
it's because the
there's
OSL MSL, but
yeah. When is I didn't see where that was. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, Nada is playing the next day in the MSL, and the day after that in the OSL. So that makes sense why they would give Nada a break there. And oh, and Mind is playing the next day also in the OSL. So you're exactly right. That's probably the case. They gave him the day off for that.
speak of the devil, let's move on to the OSL. So, do you have any
Right.
picks here?
Well, first of all, to let everyone know, we are going to give some spoilers on the recent OSL and MSL games in the rest of this podcast, so keep that in mind. Um, well, things. I mean, there's been 4 games so far in every group, so uh, there's uh, we can kind of see who's the in the lead right now. Basically, is what I'm saying. The only exception is Group D. Everyone in Group D is 1-1. So the next 2 matches, whoever wins moves on, and whoever loses is out. So that's going to be kind of hardcore to watch those matches, which is going to be Mind versus Much and Bako versus Bisu. And I'm going to have to go with Mind and Bisu on that one personally. Mind just been Much has just been a little shaky. I mean, he's a really good player when he's on, but
Yeah.
he's just kind of off and on. And Mind, despite a recent loss to Free, um, Mind is still looking very damn good against Protoss, and that's kind of I would say that's his strongest matchup. So
Which really sucks because I really like Much. I think he's one of my
yeah,
favorite Protoss players in the league. He's just hardcore. I don't know how to say it. He looks like he's 30. He's awesome.
anyone that looks like they're 30 is awesome in my book. Um, who are you thinking Mind as well, or do you think Much might take
Yeah,
him?
I'm just assuming Mind. I don't think Bisu's got that hand injury and he's been looking shaky in general. And I think he's a good player. I just don't know if he's up to Mind Much Bisu caliber at the moment. I think he's in a mix and he might be able to take a game from one or the other, but I don't think he can handle all three of them in combination. So
Mm-hmm. And then we have Group C. Actually, is also it. Julizerg is actually advancing. That's determined already. because he's won 2 of his games so far, and his games
Woot!
have been sweet. His games have been friggin' sweet to watch. If you haven't watched July versus Rumble, go watch that mess. Actually, I put a commentary of it if anyone's interested. But Yark, Yellow ARNC, is actually eliminated from that group. Um, so I mean, he lost to Rumble, and then he lost to his brother Luxury in, as Cholera put it, the what did he call it? The ultimate mirror match, which it was, and that was hardcore to watch that game at the end. Watching, Luxury, they told him like go over here and take pictures as a winner, and he ignored them, went straight over to his brother's booth and like gave him a pat on the back, and it was pretty touching actually. And they're like, look hardcore, like you're happy you just won, and he looked totally devastated that he had just won. Um, yeah, so so that's decided. So basically, it's going to come down to the very next match, Rumble versus Luxury. Whoever wins that um, advances. Whoever loses is out again. Basically, is what it's going to come down to.
Two things in
So,
this group. First of all, Yellow is the guy he drives me insane because every time it looks like he might do something, and then he moves on and peters out and breaks our hearts once again. It's like he sets him us, he sets us up and knocks us down every single time. Everyone's looking for him to retake the golden, go and hey, now he gets his gold mouse, but nope, every single time it seems like something gets in his way, or he just doesn't play Jelizerg style or something like that, or
by the
gets
way,
the
real,
freaking
oh,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Go ahead. No, real quick, because some people are probably
Uh,
confused right now. Yellow ARNC is the one who's in the OSL right now. He's often called Fake Yellow because um, he has just come up in the pro gaming relatively recently. Yellow, NC Yellow, is the famous Yellow, probably one of the most famous Zergs ever. He actually at a time when in StarCraft Zergs were like punching bags. Yellow came out and actually showed that Zergs could accomplish something, and he revolutionized Zerg play. And he is one of the most famous pro gamers, one of the oldest pro gamers. He's still kind of around. He was almost in semi-retirement for a little while. So that's who Diggity's talking about when he says it's painful to watch him almost do well and then get knocked out. Um, Not the same yellow AR as Yellow ARNC, who is part of OGN, who just got knocked out of Group C of the OSL. Just thought I'd clarify
no, I
that
was referring
since.
to Jelizerg, but
Wait, what? You're referring to Jelizer?
Jelizerg always makes it, and then we think he's going to do well, and then he doesn't.
Oh, well, you said yellow. I thought.
Did I?
Whatever.
Okay, never
All right, well,
mind.
there's some random background for you
I
in
meant
case anyone
July.
didn't know about the two yellows. Maybe I just misheard
Anyway,
you.
if you want to
So,
hear,
moving on.
if you want to see games with NC Yellow, by the way, go to gomtv.net and check out Tasteless. He's got some good games
Yeah,
with
yeah, yeah.
Yellow. He had a really good
Oh,
set recently with who was that?
free.
Him and Frick, Free. There were some really good matches,
Those
and
were
Tasteless, of course, doing a
sweet.
fantastic job on those.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
excited
Props to
about that.
Tasteless. He's been. I really like watching his games actually. Um, but yeah, Yellow versus Free, who was going by Pretty, which is his other alias. Check that out on GOM TV. Those were some great games. Anyway, moving on to Group B, kind of going in reverse here. Best, so pissed at Best right now because he won his first game by beating Nada, and that was a hardcore game where Nada basically owned him with a really cool Medic Marine rush, and Best somehow managed to like stick it out and beat Nada eventually. Nada just couldn't keep him surrounded. He came out with this crazy 3 shuttle drop that just somehow had the perfect combination of units to own Nada while he was switching to mech, and it was just very, very sad because everyone wants Nada to advance. And then in his second game, Best, who I believe to be a inferior Protoss versus Protoss player to Stork, cheesed Stork. And I'm particularly pissed because Stork lost his first game to Jangbi, and so that means Stork is 0-2. So basically, Stork is out of the OSL. He's a freaking seed. He's a
Hmm.
semi-finalist from last season, and he's been basically cheesed out of the OSL. And now I kind of know
Could
what
be
people
worse.
felt like when that happened to Bisu before, because I didn't care about Bisu at that time, and I was like, whatever, Flash is cool. And look where Flash has come. but
Yeah.
So we got Jangby versus Best is going to be coming up, and depending on what happens with that, we're going to either see Best and Jangby at 2-1 each, or we're going to see Best at 3-0 and Jangby at 1-2. There's a lot of different things that can happen in this next couple matches. Jangby and Best are facing each other, and Nada and Stork are facing each other. And I hope Nada beats Stork, because there's no way at this point that Stork can. There's very little way, rather, that Stork can make it out of this group. So at least I want Nada to make it out of this
Yeah.
group. So the only way
I
Stork
don't
can make it
like
out
this.
is if Nada loses, and so Stork is 1-2, and Jangby loses, so he's 1-2, and then Nada would be 1-2. So and then
Yeah,
Best would
I
be
don't
3
like
0.
this grouping of I don't like the round of 16 the OSL just because you get games first of all where people know they're out and they're still playing, so they just don't have any motivation to win. You have other
Mm-hmm.
people who know they're making it, so it's like, what's the point of really playing to win? And then there's some strategic of, I'll throw this game so I don't have to face so and so later on, that sort of thing. And then it's just like keeping track of who's at what across the board. It's just gets really ridiculous for me. And aside from that, on the Stork thing, it could be a lot worse. You could be seeing Stork go to the final again and losing, for another time. Working down the other Yellow's record, who, the king of silver, the king of silver and no gold.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So Group B is pretty up in the air. I'm expecting I'm expecting Jangby to beat Best, um, honestly, and I'm hoping that Nada beats Stork, but I honestly think that Stork will somehow manage to beat Nada. So we're probably going to see Best and Jangby advance out of this group, but it's really up in the air, honestly. It could go either way. People have pointed out that Best, he is on a little bit of a win streak. He's been beating some decent players, so who knows?
yeah,
Unless you have final thoughts
shrug.
on B, we'll move to A.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I want to see Nada and Jang B advance, but I'm kind of expecting Jang B and Best to advance. So
Yeah, we'll see. Go Nada. Yeah, I'm not gonna count Nada out though. Stork has been not been playing spectacularly lately, so there's a chance that Nada can beat Stork. In any case, Group A, Flash has basically got this clinched. Um, he's facing C for his third game, but even if he loses that, there's very little chance that he's going to get out of it. I've been most impressed actually with Rock. Rock has been kind of fun to watch. He beat C his first game, uh, and then his second game he actually beat Flash. And the only reason he didn't win that game is because it was Flash. Any other Terran he would have won, because he had this beautiful, beautiful drop. And actually, it's funny. I have that drop paused on my screen on a different game because I wanted to mark that down for possible Pimpus plays. But he had this thing where he instead of waiting for Reavers, he just put Zealots in his shuttle and ran in when Flash had all of his forces spread out to stop Reaver harassment, and just completely owned Flash's front door, made him lift up all his buildings, made him run back, made him bring half of his SCVs off the line to fight Dragoons to protect the one tank in the back. And the only, like I said, the only reason that he didn't win that game was because Flash is just too flipping leet to fall for that, to fall to that, and he somehow managed to come back and win that game. But I usually hate Rock, and but I have to say he's been playing well lately. So I think Rock is
yeah,
probably
on the
going to
other
come out of
hand,
this.
sad to say, yeah, Rock's probably going to come out of it, and my favorite Zerg GG play is probably not. He looked horrible in the games he's played thus far. Really, I still think the reason I like him so much is, first of all, he's always got the exact same expression on his face, which I guess he belongs on CJ for that reason, just because he's always that kind of cool stone face. And then additionally, I really like his Muta micro, and I've always loved his late game Ultralisk and Defiler micro, and unfortunately not really getting to see any of it recently, just not playing up to his potential in my opinion.
Yeah, and then we of course have C. Can't count him out until the round of 8. So he might advance too. He is 1-1. So if he, I don't know how this would happen, but if he somehow beats Flash, then he and Flash would be advancing basically. So that's a possibility. Um, well, actually no. And then if Rock beat Gigi play, then there would be a three-way tie. So that could be kind of interesting. But
Those are always fun.
yeah, like I said, you can't really count. Yeah, those are fun. You can't really count C out. Those are fun, except when like you have 3 rounds of tiebreakers and you're commentating all freaking day and night and the next day, and you just see the same game over and over again. Well, actually, that
Was
was
it
kind of
two
fun, but
OSLs we had to do
it
that?
was just long. That was actually for some reason it was Jelizerg and Iris and Huashin. I don't remember
That was
what
awesome.
series it was though. But yeah, that was
Yeah, I
awesome.
remember all the commentating. But yeah, that was really fun to watch and commentate nevertheless. But yeah, it just went on forever.
And yeah, so you can't really count C out though, is what I was gonna say. It's possible he can come out of this uh, somehow. Uh, Not looking good though, because he's facing Flash, and like I said, Flash just doesn't seem to lose games these days. So, in any case, yeah, probably looks like Flash, and I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be Rock, honestly. Um, which
Hmm.
maybe he'll surprise me. And the reason I don't like him is because he does this stupid ceremonies where he acts totally like a jerk and smug, in a different fashion than Firebat Hero does. But
Yeah.
either
Firebat Hero,
way,
you know, he's doing it, but he's doing it silly. Rock is like, I'm hardcore. I think I'm actually
yeah,
like the Rock from WWF.
yeah, he's like,
So,
I don't play video games for a living. I'm tough. I guess you can still be tough and play
quote of the
video games for
week.
a living, but no offense to anyone who plays video games for a living and is actually tough, dude. Freaking Anytime is ripped. He's the half naked guy on the OSL intro that's totally ripped. Anyway,
Wow.
uh, yeah, you wouldn't expect pro gamers to have any muscles, especially after seeing like Haya try and lift a ball above his head and failing epically, like after he won the finals, which is the most hilarious
Uh,
play ever, the most hilarious ceremony ever, in my opinion. Um, anyway,
anyway,
moving on.
moving on. MSL round of 16.
Yeah, so yeah, OSL is going to be interesting one way or another. We're really going to have to wait the next couple days to find out what's truly going to happen. But MSL has been determined for the round of 16. The final matches are in, and again, a warning that we're gonna spoil it here. Uh, if you do not have the bracket in front of you, I would suggest that you take a look at that. It's available on the SC2GG forums. If you go to NBC Star League and then go to Arena MSL, and then the results and the standings thread. It's right in the beginning in a spoiler tag. I've made a bracket for the whole thing, so you can see all the matches and how they're lined up and everything. Someone actually asked me about how a lot of the players are lined up from the same groups. So, for instance, Flash and Quanro are from the same group, but they're lined up that if they both win, they'll play in the round of 8. And they're like, "What is that right?" And that's what it's said according to a screenshot that I took that showed the bracket information from an actual VOD. So, as far as I know, it is correct. So we've got some exciting matchups here going on. First of all, there are 10 Terran in the round of 16. 10 Terran, 4 Protoss, and all of 2 Zerg. Um, which is
Yeah, I blame the maps.
that's ridiculous. There was actually a decent amount of Zerg in the round of 32, but just none of them were advancing. Jadong in the second or third to last group was the first Zerg to advance, and then we just had Quanro advance recently in the final match, so he barely made it out. Well, I won't say barely because he had a pretty convincing win, but and Calm almost made it out. I was really rooting for him just so we could have another Zerg in the round of 16, but Calm did not make it out of his group, the final group there. So we've only got 2 Zerg in there, and that's disappointing. The good news is that there are 1, 2, 3 TVT matches, and additionally, one TVZ where the T is not likely to make it out. So we're probably gonna have at least 4 or 5 Terrans not make it out of the round of 16. So the round of 8 should look a lot more even, I'm thinking.
It's funny how that's always like the thing we check every single round of 16. We're always like, okay, how many Terran versus Terran? Okay, let's see how we're knocking it down for the match listings. I know a lot of people like Terran versus Terran out there, but that's usually what I do, and I know a lot of other people do the same. It's just like, okay, how many Terran versus Terran do we have to watch? Being that, I don't know. It just seems like
Yeah.
there's a lot more Terran than there is anything else. Maybe that's Boxer's fault.
Well,
At
at
which point I
least
love him too much to blame him for that. But
yeah, at least these TVTs are going to be pretty good actually because we've got Huashin versus Nada, and TVT always risks being long and boring, but those two players I think are at least going to show us some very high level play, and Nada is you can never uh, count Nada out for doing something interesting. Basically, he's always an option to do something crazy and catch you by surprise. Another TVT is Mind versus Flash. Um,
who
Flash,
dog?
Flash, definitely the best Terran in the game right now. Mind, probably in the top three, honestly, if you don't consider versus Zerg. um,
Yeah.
so again, that's probably going to be some pretty decent play that we're going to see there as well. Flash's TVT lately, even though he lost to Gogo, he's been showing some really really elite moves in his TVT, not just your standard, pile a bunch of tanks and dropships and run them all over the place. I mean, that's part of it too, but Flash actually won a game the other day. But just he was a little bit behind in the beginning. I forgot who it was against, but he just by sheer eliteness managed to pull out a win by using some cool
Yeah.
like tricks with dropships and stuff and coming back. I think I
So who
could
are
be
your
wrong on
picks?
that. Maybe I'm remembering wrong, but
Let's just
go
go
ahead.
through and give our picks actually in the round of 16 match by match. So Huash and Nada, who do you have coming out of that?
Um, I really really hope Nada makes it out, but I don't know. It depends on what side of the bed he wakes up on that day.
Yeah.
Washington's been playing pretty well lately. Although Washington's been playing well mostly against Zerg, and Nada has been, I think, getting more practice lately against Terran. So, gut reaction, I'm gonna go with Nada.
Yeah, I'm gonna call Huashin even though I love Nada. He's my hero. But yeah, Huashin's just been playing too well lately. How about
I'll bet you a
going?
quarter
Let's
on
just
that
go
one.
straight down the left bracket. I'll take that quarter.
All right.
All right, continuing down the left, and I'm betting that because even if I lose, no biggie, because I'll be happy. But anyway,
I love those pets.
yeah, good bets. Down the left-hand side, Lucifer Jadong. I think that's kind of a toss-up actually.
um, yeah,
I'm
man.
favoring Jadong, but I think Lucifer
Uh,
could pull it. I really think he can.
he could theoretically pull it, and I can't believe I'm saying that honestly because what's with Jadong? Jesus Christ, Jadong! Like you lose one set, well, two sets to Flash, and you fall apart. Like I know that like confidence is a big thing in pro gaming. At least on the surface, it seems to be. Maybe it isn't deep down inside, but the fact is, every time the dominant player gets shattered by someone, they don't keep playing well. They fall off, at least temporarily. It happened to Savior. It happened to Bisu. Happened to I had someone else in mind just now. Who was I thinking of? Mind,
Uvi, Nada.
Uvi. No, yeah,
Mind, I
even
don't
go.
think ever fell off really. I think he's still
He
kind of around. He hasn't sunk.
Yeah, well, no, he never sunk, but I mean, he fell off a little bit at least. Um, kind of like Nada, ironically, since they're both on the same team there. I'm gonna favor Jadong though. I don't think Lucifer's gonna pull it out. I think Jadong is Lucifer's a little bit too green, and not just because Protoss are green in my bracket. uh,
Uh,
Flash
moving down,
is
Mind.
gonna be
Yeah,
Mind.
whew, yeah. I think it's possible Mind will beat him, but it would be a really big shock the way Flash is
Yeah,
playing lately. It would be a really big shock. I'm not saying it's completely out of the realm of possibility. It's just because it is Mind, but Flash has just been crazy, crazy.
yeah, it is best of three for the round of 16. So you never know. Someone could sneak in a couple wins there. Um, I wouldn't put it past mine to even cheese flash for one of the games and take a win that way, and then cheese game one and lose game two, and then somehow manage to pull out game three or something like that. It's possible, but not bloody likely. Speaking of bloody,
Moving on.
Quanro versus Lomo is going to be
Ah,
hilarious to watch. I cannot believe that Lomo got not just got out of his group, but he 2-0'd his group. How did? Oh, it's
there's
just
only two pro
ridiculous.
gamers I really dislike that I just flat out dislike. One of them's Lomo, the other is Hiri, and that's because all they ever do is they just try to max as quickly as possible, and then once they max, they just don't ever bother attacking. That's their entire game strategy: is build a lot of units and sit there. It drives me
Yeah.
insane. Maybe
Luckily,
he
that's
figured
not
it
going to
out in
work
two
against
versus Lomo.
Quanro.
I
Yeah.
hope not. Even though I'm a little bit nervous though, because Quanro doesn't tend to play very well against that really big macro style. Hopefully he thumbs. What did Lomo thumb down actually? I'm kind of curious. Did
Oh
he thumb down
yeah.
Athena?
Where'd that
Because
freaking?
that could be big for it. Because if
I'll
he
have to
thumbed
find
down
the
the Athena,
page.
which I think is that one, yeah, I think that's the one with the big. We have those three bases with the three minerals. I think Quanro's in pretty good shape because I think he can run the other matches, but yeah, knowing that Lomo can just build up that's how you beat Quanro in my opinion is you just lump up a bunch of units and you let them run into you and you just completely shell up and honestly that's all I've ever seen Lomo do is shell up and then absorb attacks and then somehow have more resources than his opponent near the end of the game essentially. But yeah, Lomo, how does he
Hmm.
keep making it into the MSL and keep going into the round of 16? There's a rule for that. For literally, there is a flat rule, which is there's always one player that doesn't belong in the round of 16 that makes it, and it's specifically called the Lomo rule. And here he is again,
Or the 9-10
fulfilling his
rule if
own
you
rule,
depending on where you want to.
or the 9-10 rule. Yeah, actually, no, I take it back. Here it's the 9-10 rule. 9-10,
Right.
I
Well, I
I
mean, but
actually think he's fun to
Lomo's
watch.
Lomo's qualified under the 9-10 rule more times than 9-10 has. So.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, 910 I actually like because I mean, he's bad at cheesing, but at least he tries it, you know?
That's true. At least he's not boring as all heck. Yeah, I think Quantro's going to wipe
So
that up pretty easily, though. Quantro's just way too rabid, and Lobo's not cool enough to figure out how to deal with it.
if Lomo ends up beating Quanro and advances any further than that, I'm going to be a very unhappy commentator. I'm just going to be livid at that point.
Yeah, we do not want Lobo to be a
You're going to have to.
seed for next season. That is for sure.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, moving to the other side of the bracket, free versus light.
Jesus Christ, I hate Free. I don't even know why. I mean, I kind of do because he pisses me off. He does stuff like in the commentaries I did of him. He'll like run in a shuttle for a Templar drop and then like forget about it and like just get the shuttle killed by a cannon. It's like, come on. What the heck, man? This is not exciting StarCraft to watch your shuttle die on a cannon. And like, if facing Jangbi, he could have like gone in and wiped out Jangbi's bases and clinched the game, and instead he like brought his whole army back to like kill an observer that was flying around his base. It's like, what the frick? Just like play the just ah. I guess he's just too conservative, but he's won like a lot of games recently, which pisses me off. But I have to admit that he's probably, as far as momentum's sake, he's probably going to beat Light. As much as I dislike that
Yeah,
concept.
Light has been playing really trash compared to his usual standard recently, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Anyway,
especially given last season where he was pretty did pretty well. Um, 3-0'd his group,
he
and
always
I
seems to
believe
make it
he
here.
beats. I think he beat C right to
Yeah, he beat C.
and moved on, and then finally lost to Jadong, which there's no shame in losing to Jadong.
He's been 3 for 10 actually. Looking at it, I think he's only won 3 games since he lost that one game to Boxer a bit ago
Who Light?
in Pro League. Yeah, and 2 of those wins have been in the MSL, but in Pro League he's been atrocious. He's been 1 for 5 since then.
Oh, by the way, I finally got it up here. You're right. Lobo actually thumbed down Athena, so oh
Whew,
well.
yes. I don't know why he did that, but cool.
What, you don't like Athena?
Athena, isn't that the one with the three minerals that's you got the three bases essentially that are easy to hold?
For some reason I'm not remembering off the top of my head. Oh no, no, yeah, Athena is
Oh
the
no, that's a
three base map.
three-player map. Never mind.
Yeah, that's the three-player
Yeah,
map.
I take that back. What's the one? Is that in the
That
OSL? Am
I
I
think
completely
Andromeda
blanking
is the
here?
one with three. No, no, wait.
Yeah, you're right. It's Andromeda.
I always look up the maps
And
before
then
I do a game because they're especially in the early season, new MSL maps and new OSL maps and a couple of new Pro League maps. It's hard to keep straight.
yeah, and that's the OSL, so I don't have to worry about it at least. I don't know why they keep putting maps like that in the OSL, but whatever.
Think Much is going to be able to beat Firebat Hero?
I don't know. Firebat Hero's got momentum too. He's back up to, top Terran form. I wouldn't say like prime Terran, but he's playing pretty well. And honestly, the more I watch him play, he's just, I don't know, he's growing on me. He's more endearing game by game.
Yeah,
Even though it's
it's
blasphemy because,
yeah,
Savior fan.
it's well, I've never been a Savior fan personally, so by the way, I think I might have said this last time, but I'll say it again, just in case anyone didn't notice. Savior's dead. He's gone. He's not coming back. Sorry for all you fanboys, but he's gone. He's not
I
even
think
doing that
that's why
well. In
Korean esports huge decline right now.
well, it's funny. I used to hate Firebat Hero also, but honestly, he's providing a lot more attention for esports right now than any other player. Um, he's making it more
It's
interesting,
true.
and stuff like that is the kind of thing that draws people in more than successful players. Flash can play a perfect game. Well, Flash plays spectacularly. He's just fun to watch. Let's say Mind. Mind can play, perfect games in a row and win the MSL, but that's not going to make people watch that are new as much as Firebat Hero acting like a jerk and a freak and dancing around the stage and jumping off of it and looking all smug.
I don't think he looks smug. I think he's just enjoying himself.
Oh well.
I think that's the
Anyway,
difference between him and Rock.
I have no
Anyway, but
idea.
yeah, I
Yeah,
like.
that's true. I have no idea what Firebat Heroes versus Protoss is like. Actually, I don't. I can't think of any games that he's played in that matchup lately. So
Yeah, usually he's the Zerg killer. That's who he tends to play well against. But I don't know. I guess I'll check the statistics really fast. Much is playing not up to his potential recently, but I think that'll be a fun set actually. I'll be happy to see whoever
yeah,
wins. Honestly, I think both those players will be fun to watch in the round of eight.
that whole part up there, Free versus Light and Firebat Hero versus Much. I think all four of those players are basically on the same level. So that whole set is going to be interesting one way or another.
Anyway, I hear Farah Hero is actually a really nice guy in person.
Yeah, that's kind of why I've started to like him a little bit. Is because I've heard that and like I've seen him on a couple interviews and stuff, and uh, I think it's also just that Rise, who is a Firebat Hero fanboy, is rubbing off on me a little bit. But yeah, he's supposedly friendly, and he actually has fun with like Battle.net Attack, where like other players are like all serious and like not joking around and stuff, and like Firebat Hero's like, oh,
Yeah.
10 Dragoons, they'll run in fear from my 3 Marines and stuff like that.
I know that I think Protoss is actually his worst matchup. I think he might be 1 for 3 in that grouping though, as far as Protoss
Probably.
goes. Let me look it up real fast.
Okay. In the meantime, we've got Cal versus Kanata. Somehow Kanata also making out of his group. I don't remember if he was the 2-0 or not, but yeah, I didn't expect Kanata to get out. I think he's going to get wipe the floor. I think Cal's going to wipe the floor with him. Kanata, he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. Um, he's definitely better than the likes of Lomo, for instance. But I don't consider him to be a top level player. Cal is, one of those one of those players that's not Flash or Jadong, but he's still up there. So I'm pretty sure Cal's
And
going to take out Kanata.
I was wrong on Firebat Hero, but not by much. I think he's got about like a 36 to 40% win ratio against Protoss, whereas much
Oh,
is at like
Jesus.
55 or 60. So yeah, that is his weak matchup. So
Okay, well, Much wins. GG. They don't even have to play. Um,
I don't know. You never know.
no,
We'll see.
stats don't mean
Anyway, but yeah,
everything.
Cal Kanata.
Jangbe's Jangi's Protoss versus Protoss is like 40%. So, and he beat
You never
Stork.
know. And like you look at Luxury, Luxury doesn't look that good on paper, but he's just been playing fantastic, you know?
That's true. That's true. Yeah, yeah. I always try and look at like recent games instead of just like career stats because you know, I mean, Boxer has a losing percentage versus Zerg career, but that doesn't mean he wasn't like the best player in StarCraft for years. Anyway,
Shrug. And, you know, beat Yellow hands down a bunch of
eh,
times.
any argument against Cal beating Kanata?
I think they'll be fun because I think both these guys, Kanata was considered for a bit kind of the genius Terran, the up and coming genius Terran, and then he just for SKT, right? He's on SKT if I recall,
Yeah, I believe
and
so.
uh, and then he just never kind of panned out. He never really attained that level that everyone was expecting him to. They were thinking that he was going to be kind of Boxer's fill-in, you know, and then it just didn't happen. And so but I think he's kind of fun to watch actually because I think he's pretty good with the creative strategies, and I think Cal's the same way where Cal relies on creative strategies in my
Cal's a
opinion more
genius.
so than yeah, he's an absolute genius when it comes to a lot of the gameplay, but I think it should be fun matchups because I think it'll be a really in-depth strategic gameplay between the two of them,
I
and
agree.
honestly in the best of 3 it's going to be who can cheese who, and I think those matches will be really wild.
Cal is really great. This is what I love about Cal. This is why I'm a fan of him. He is great at like changing things up, like in the middle of his play, in the middle of his build, to do something different. Particularly, I've noticed this in his versus Zerg. He'll, he'll even like. I think there was a game against Quanro where Quanro scouted um, two Stargates, I think, and so he actually after Quanro scouted that, um, or was it the other way around? I think it. Freaking don't remember. But basically, it was one or the other. Where I think he made two Stargates, and Quanro scouted it, and then his scouting uh, scourges ran away. So Cal canceled the Stargate and switched over to Zealots instead, knowing that Quanro would go Hydras to counter his Corsairs. And like Cal does stuff like that all the time. That's just one instance of at least a few that I've noticed. So that's why I like him personally.
Yeah. FYI, I believe Cal recently beat Kanata in Pro League not too long ago
Ah,
this
there you go.
season. So anyway, and then C4GG or Forg.
Or isn't he also Never? Or is that someone else?
Also, yeah, Never. I think he goes by Never mostly these days.
Yeah. Um, it's still the round of 16, so I'm going to favor C on this one.
You
By
know,
the way, what
I
we're
think it
referencing
was.
here, real quick, what we're referencing is C. He's kind of gotten this reputation as choking once there's the games are important. He wins everything in Pro League. He wins, uh, the dual tournaments and things to get into the Star Leagues, but he never actually goes very far in Star Leagues. So that's kind of why I keep saying like, oh, C's gonna be okay until the round of 8 or whatever. So sorry, go ahead though.
Yeah. 4GG's worst matchup by far is Terran. He just does not play very well against Terran, but I'm still thinking of 2 seasons ago when he had his last MSL run, where he would have beaten Nara if he hadn't used that bug. And I wonder if he's just really been training his butt off since then to really, make it through
Mm.
here. And I do think this is one of those opportunities where C once again gets shut down by someone. A while ago, people just used to say about 4GG is, he's not flashy, but he wins. He gets it done. And you don't want to marry him because look at his face, but you do want him on your team, sort of thing. But I'm not sure where that statement came from. It's like 3 a.m. when we're doing this, guys, so weird statements coming out. But anyway, but yeah,
Speaking of marrying,
he's real.
never mind. Just kidding.
Okay. Uh, but yeah, 4GG really bad versus Terran, but maybe he'll pull it off. I don't know how. I haven't seen a lot of games with him against Terran recently, but I can remember a couple. I think he's played against Nada recently. I don't know if he won that or not, but overall, I know he just does not tend to play well in general versus Terran players.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I think C's TVT is pretty good though. He's looked pretty good in TVT lately, except for somehow losing to Kanata in
Yeah,
the
I would
group
say
stages.
if this was the round of 32, if this is Pro League, hands down, I would say C. But because it's the MSL and because C just cannot, for whatever reason, get into a championship in the MSL, I'm just hesitant.
He lacks hate. No, he does lack passion though. Like he's not really, you know, when he loses, he like does this thing where he sticks out his tongue like a little kid, going like ah. Um, I don't know. He doesn't seem like he wants it. I think that's probably why he doesn't end up getting those clinch matches.
Shrug. He is clutch in Pro League. Anyway, that wraps it up. Is there anything else we need to really cover?
Who's gonna take the MSL, Diggity? Who's taking the whole thing?
Who's taking the entire thing? Flash, unless something horrible happens. And I just don't see that happening. Looking, because let's say Quanro does beat Lomo, I think he'll roll over Quanro, even though I love Quanro to death. And then who's he going to face on the let's just say he can beat everybody on the opposite side of the bracket. And just looking across the board,
The
maybe
only one that
if
stands a chance is probably if Jadong gets his act together. Obviously, Jadong stands a chance since those two guys are they're almost fated to meet each other. So that's come to think of it, that's almost a vote for Jadong to beat Lucifer because he's fated to meet Flash in the finals. It
yeah,
is our destiny.
for the epic rematch, yes. So you're gonna take Flash too, just because it just seems like no one can beat
Um,
him. He gets behind and just cannot lose.
I don't know, man. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Flash is gonna win the MSL basically. I can't see anyone beating him, honestly. Um, the only
Although
people
we've
on the
seen crazy
bracket
dives
that have a
before, so
the only people on the bracket that have a chance are Jadong and
maybe Huashin or Nada
maybe maybe
if they got up to form.
maybe Nada. Maybe Nada actually. He's been playing good TVT.
And if
Um,
C plays like he does in Pro League, maybe, but I don't see that happening. So
if Quanro gets lucky, he could
yeah,
beat
if Quanro
Flash.
gets lucky, that would be awesome. Quanro in the finals, I would pee my pants.
I don't know. Um, yeah, I think basically like if anyone stands a chance to beat Flash, Quanro I would put as one of the only people that has a possibility, but not much. I
And
don't.
Mine's playing him right now, so shrug.
Yeah, I don't think mine's gonna win though. Okay, if Flash doesn't take it, who takes it next?
Who takes it next? Wow. I guess I'll say with just so many good players actually. Looking over this, usually you'll have a couple scrubs in here, but it looks like we've got a really good set of players. 4GG maybe down a little bit less and maybe Lomo, but 4GG was looking good 2 seasons ago. And yeah, 2 seasons ago. And so across the board, man, I have to say I guess Jadong second, but he hasn't been playing as well, so either Mind or Jadong otherwise.
You know what could be interesting is we could actually see Firebat Hero in the finals.
It's true, we could.
If he beats Much, it's possible he could run into Terrans the rest of the way out. And Firebat Hero is very good Terran versus Terran because there's just
So
so
he
many
could
damn
face Light
Terrans
and
in
then
there.
maybe
He
face,
could face Light
yeah,
and then Huashin.
Jadong, and we know he can beat them. Or Washin, he's capable of beating both.
I
Or
don't know if
Nada
Firebat
even.
Hero can beat Jadong. Well, it all comes back to Jadong
He's done
whether
it
he
before.
decides to suck or not. But anyway.
Anyway,
All right. Well,
and
yeah. I guess we'll wrap it up there since we've been talking for a hell of a long time now. Anyways, so sorry if this was too long for people, but again, let us know if there's a certain length that people are preferring, and we'll ramble less next time if you want, or if you want next time we can ramble more. It's really kind of up to you
yeah,
guys. I'll put wherever this ends up getting posted. I'll try and put links to the feedback pages and all that stuff as well. So if you want to leave feedback, and again, just real quick, keep in mind we have so many crazy things going on in SC2GG right now. Um, New features keep getting introduced like every week. Um, we've got the commentary of the week going on, and JWD and Mr. Bitter are doing excellent write ups on that. And JWD just did a fat write up of like Pro League in general, basically, just kind of so far, kind of like a mid season uh, close look write up thing. That made a lot of sense. Um, and what else? There was something else. Someone just released one more. I forgot what else it was. Something else new just happened. Oh yeah, yeah, duh.
Sure.
SSL, the SC2GG Star League round of 16 is starting right now, so that's going to be cool too. There's going to be a lot of good matches going on with that, and then I think there was one other thing. But yeah, point is, there's just a ton of crap going on. I mean, we've got basically every game being played being covered in English commentary right now. Not just MSL and OSL either. We have 100% of OSL and MSL being covered, which is flippin' excellent. And then to top it all off, we also have almost all of Pro League being covered too, because we have so many good commentators right now doing so many matches. It is just absolutely ridiculous, and it's exciting as well. So if you're bored, check out sc2gg.com, and there's plenty of commentaries around, and there's plenty of other random stuff to do, and plenty of cool people on the forums and the IRC channel to talk to too. So keep
And if
that
you want to
online.
contribute, please do.
Oh yeah,
I've
yeah, and
always
then
seen people add in stuff.
we also got this tournament coming up. I don't remember what he called it. What was that called? The SE for All tournament.
Oh, the SE for All tournament is the I think it's the multi-site tournament, multi-site
Yeah,
tour.
multi-site tour. Yeah, each of well, there basically 8 of the top foreign teams, non-Korean teams, are going to be representing 8 of the biggest fan sites, StarCraft fan sites, and they're going to be basically playing it off. And so that way, each fan site will have like a team to root for, and then the winner of that whole tournament will actually get to face a pro gaming team from Korea. So that's going to be pretty sweet. So that's coming up as well, and we might even have commentaries of those games. But at the very least, there's going to be some coverage of that. So just so much cool stuff coming out. It is a great time to be a StarCraft fan, let me tell you. There's just so many cool things going on.
I completely agree. I just said that the other day in a commentary. It's like God has come down and blessed the StarCraft community. Let there be great games, let there be wonderful coverage. And thus it was, and thus it was good.
Except, ironically, Savior sucks now.
That's kind of ironic now that you say that, yeah.
And
And that
Lucifer is
Lucifer is
owning
doing
Pro
really
League.
well, yeah.
I was in the chat channel the other day, and people were like,
Uh,
I love Lucifer. Lucifer is great. I'm like, Satan worshippers.
yeah.
Real quick before we go, JWD was not the only one that did that Pro League thing, just to clarify. All the writers at SC2GG all contributed to that, so props to all of them. Okay, I'm
Anyway,
done. You done?
we yeah, we need some sort of outro so we can just be like, cue the music.